everyone, I'm Courtney. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Australia, and I just thought I'd like to show you how to make this card that I've made as my Christmas card for my work. And I thought I'd just come in today and show you how I've done it. Let's get started. Okie dokie, let me just show you how I'm going to make this card. So we'll get started. So this is a card that we're making. Okay, and we're using the Cherish the Season bundle, which has got this stamp set and these cut and emboss dies. So they're all a bit of a mess in here. Okay, predominantly this is the main one I've used. Right. Okay, you see these actually all fall out. Yeah. You don't need to watch me putting that back together. Okay, so I've already taken out the stamps that I need except for this one. Okay, I've got my stamp apparatus here. Okay, and got everything ready because I'm actually going to be making quite a few of these. I've picked the theme that we're doing for my work Christmas part, my work ward, and so I make cards for all the women on it, on the ward that are there for Christmas when they come to have their babies. Okay, so first things first, I've cut and prepared everything, so I've got all of my pieces all ready to go. I've even cut and prepared all of these for the next 40 odd cards, but essentially I've got all my pieces cut and ready to go. So that's a nice little tidy pile there, but I'm going to start with the embossing. So I've lined up my words. There's always a bit of magic in this. Normally I would take it away, but my husband's installed a new, what's that thing called? PowerPoint. I'm just going to pause here for a minute. I'm just going to grab one little thing. And by the powers of magic, you didn't even miss me. This is an embossing buddy. We don't have them anymore, but I find it very handy and very useful. Just stops the oil from your fingers getting on your work and actually making all the little tiny splatters everywhere, which I'm really good at getting. So ink it up in Versamart. The embossing buddy, you can make your own, just a little bit of corn flour or something like that in a calico little baggie. Okay, stamp my Versamark. Now because it's quite close to the edge, I find that I have to push quite a bit, and I've got my image there. I don't know what everybody else does with their what's it called, embossing powder, but this is mine. I'm into plastic containers in this house according to my husband. So I've got a plastic container filled with all my powder. Each colour has a different container. Just shake that off. Now if you haven't seen the magic of embossing before, this is where the magic happens. I don't like getting burnt fingers. Everybody has their own ways of doing this. This just happens to be mine. And this is noisy, so I won't talk at the same time. But essentially, grab your heat tool. I warm it up a little bit, check it on my neck, and then I just gently go over. Now some people emboss from the bottom, others the top, but you can see the magic happen when it starts. How cool is that? Just give it a bit of a go over. Looking pretty smick. Just pop that to the side. Okay, and that's our base. Now, somewhere here is a bone folder. Bone folders are good. They give you a nice crisp edge. Sorry if I'm getting my head in the way. Just run your bone folder along the edge like so. Okay, and what I've done next, you notice on my card, it might be a bit hard to tell, I've got all of the baubles at the back. they're actually stamped off and then stamped on there. Now, if I'm feeling like keeping my piece of paper pristine, which I usually don't care, but you know, I will often stamp off in the middle and then off. And the reason why I'm stamping off in the middle first is because it doesn't matter, because my piece of red, which happens to be Poppy Parade, is going to cover it. Now, you can't really go over your embossing. It won't stick, the ink won't stick to it. And you just want to get it fairly covered in baubles. This is called generation stamping or stamping off. Doesn't matter that we got the mess in the middle, that's okay, because it's going to get hidden. Now, while I've got that stamp out, I'll bring in my inside piece, because as you can see, I've also decorated my inside. And I'm just going to put a couple of solid baubles on here. Okay. And that will actually just stick in the inside quite nicely. And our envelope. It's Christmas. Needs a bauble on the front. And this is how I do the backs of my envelopes. They all end up different, but that's okay. Now, hindsight would have me put this over here. And then, if we fold that like so, I can come back in to these spaces and put more baubles. I think we need one more there. See, how cool does that look? Okay, and that's our envelope. Right, so that's our shaded spruce done. So we've got a shaded spruce piece of cardstock for our base. Silly me, I should have left it open, because now I'm going to do my little white piece. So my little white piece measures 7.3 by 10, and then I have a little piece of Poppy Parade to go under it, so it's just framing it like so. Okay, make the big frame bigger if you want, your choice. And I'm going to do some shaded spruce leaves across the top of that. So I started with my middle one, because then I could actually, because the leaves only go in one direction on this. I don't think they're called leaves, I think they're called, I don't know what they're called. Spikes, pines, you know, I don't know. Needles, pine needles, that's them. Okay, so I've done my pine needles. Oops, making a mess. All right, and I've brought in my Wonders of the Season ribbon, and I've got the beautiful crinkled seam binding ribbon, the Whisper White one. I've got my one of these baubles, so she's going to sit there. Now you'll notice one of my dots has fallen out already. I'm actually going to push them all out. And the reason why I'm pushing them all out is because I've lost one and they're too hard to colour in. But I don't want my leaves, I don't want to lose my leaves, because they need to go back in. So if I push all of the dots out, keep my leaves secure, I'm going to put, this is just a piece of paper, of tear tape. Put it over the leaves to keep them held down. Now I actually don't want them, I didn't want it over. Let's get another one. I didn't want it, see how I've got it stuck over the dot there? It can't be there. Do I need another one? Oh no, I can peel it off. Just got to hold your tongue right. because I'm actually going to do something. It's still on that dot. Let's just push it out of the way, hey? Okay. I'll put this one over this leaf, just to hold that one in place. So I've got my 1.5 inch circle punch. Now I quite frequently, to be frugal, I leave from the back of these because no one's going to see it anyway. And my snips are hiding somewhere on my table here. I'm just going to put that here like so. This one. Just a pin under there. A little bit of tape on there, in between there. And it's just a matter of playing with it until you're happy, because I just want to stick this Poppy Parade, slip that underneath there. I'll snip it off. Just so that then turns all my dots on the front red. It will also allow me to stick this baby back in. Like so. Because no one's going to see the back, so it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I've got my Shaded Spruce Dark. I'm just going to colour my little holly leaves in. Depending on how dark you want them, depends on how many times you have to colour them in. So if you've got all the bits together, this card actually goes together very, very quickly. Okay? Right. Now, what I did here, pulled out our new Stampin' seal. Just make it so that it's at the end. Oh. I threaded it through this baby here. Now it doesn't want to play. Through the little hole. I put a little bit on there. Just so that I could do that. So I could work out where I wanted this to sit. Which happens to be about so. Chop it off. Put a bit of tape on there. Work out where that baby's going to sit. And stick it down. Now it's hanging freely at the minute, but I'm going to put some dimensionals under it just so that it will stay. Okay, and that's how I did that. The ribbon. It's going to come across from here. Play nice. I want heaps of sticky. Now, I don't want it too tight. Heaps of sticky. Oh, sounds like the family's home. Because I want to be able to grab it without it turning the paper, curling the paper. Okay, and I'll just trim that off there. Doesn't look right yet, does it? Okay. Well, I love the power of the pause button. So kids are all inside and they're now being quiet. Okay, so what we've got so far is that stuck down. There's a bit of give, and that's so that we can bring this back in. And I'm just going to tie a bow. Now, if you don't like to tie bows, that's fine. You can tie a knot, whatever floats your boat really. But essentially you want it to be or land where that other one is. Now you can see how it's still curling a little bit. I've left a little bit of room on the back side so that we can actually fix that. So just tie our pretty bow. I love this ribbon, it's so soft and so just does what you want it to do. These scissors, which are snips, which have been cutting paper, are not the greatest for ribbon anymore. My ribbon ones are still over in the cupboard. Okay, so there's my little bow. Push it around till you like it. Now, because we want to actually flatten that back out, we can just come back to the back here. It's really sticky, this stuff, but it still gives you a little bit of give. And we'll just stick that back down. Now we'll stick some dimensionals under our bauble. That'll help hold all those extra bits of stuff for our bell. Everything is sticky. How soon is it before you guys get your Christmas cards happening? I'm going to make 40 just of this one, and that's just for the women that birth on Christmas Day. Or they're the patients for Christmas Day. So we're doing a Polar Express theme, so this bell is perfect. Okay. That's sitting rather pretty. Now, because I've made it all bobbly, this is going to be rather interesting getting it to, oh no, it's going to play all right. Just runs really nice, this tape, when it wants to play nice. Just push it along a little bit. Come on, play. And so much easier. I might just stick a little bit on this ribbon. It's very sticky. If you haven't got the, it's really sticky. You can just use your tape, which is probably would have been a better idea because I could just put it on. Eyeball where it needs to go. Hold your tongue in the correct position while you stick it down. Give it a bit of a press. Okay, and then we have to do it all again. So if I was doing the tape, and this works for bigger pieces as well, you can put it on dimensionals and raise it up, but our baubles already, or our bell's already raised, so I'm not going to, and because I keep them relatively flat for work. But this is something that you can do. You can do it on a small piece, you can do it on a bigger piece, and something that I quite frequently do with my 12x12s when I'm trying to lay massive pieces on top of massive pieces, if I'm framing one of those. And it just depends. My favourite glue is actually multi-purpose glue. So, and depending on what I'm making will depend on how much I use and what I use. But I just thought, just for ease, doesn't want to play there. So I just pull them up a little bit, like so, in the corners. 2 opposing corners, and the reason why I do opposing corners because then I can push the other corners down and it's not going to stick until I really want it to. So I can make sure that I'm square. Might want to rise it, put it up a little bit, put it down right on top of the Merry Christmas. It's whatever suits you. Use the lines on your grid paper. Again, you've got to hold your tongue right. When you think you're right, push those two corners down. So it's pretty much stuck. I can pull these pieces out and it will stay exactly where I've put it. And if I've eyeballed it correctly, then it will be in the right spot. See what I mean? So then we need to put our center in. I'm not going to put any sentiments on this because we'll sit there the night before and we'll actually write them and individually personalize them. So whoever's on night duty on Christmas Eve gets to do it. Or whoever takes over the patients in the morning, we all just hand them out to, because then you only have to write 5, and we have a standard thing from work that we write, so it comes from all of us. And there you have it. One very pretty Merry Christmas card using the Cherish the Season bundle. Excuse all my mess. Thanks for joining me.